same way.
Hi, it's Erin and Simon with Assets and Arbitrage. We hope y'all are doing great today. We have a nice show for you called Open Up the Algorithm. One of the purposes of the show is for us to understand that computers are modeled after the human brain. So again, we talk about these scientists, these marketers. They, as I like to call them, have been studying us for a long time. And what they want to do is they want to influence our behavior. They want to modify our behavior. And they also want to be able to predict our behavior. And one of the ways that they're doing that en masse is by locking us into an algorithm using multiple social media platforms in order to kind of have us think in a one-dimensional way. So anything that doesn't sit well with you, you don't agree with, or you don't know, the algorithm locks you out of it. Okay, so what we want to do in the show today, the purpose of our show today, is for us to open up the algorithm of your mind so that social media doesn't affect you as much.
Okay.
And the only way to find true arbitrage is to open up the algorithm in your mind. How can you discover an opportunity if you're closed off to knowledge, resources, and anything that's really external to you?
Okay.
So we want to bring attention to that today. We're going to do that with some information that Simon has for us.
Yeah, so we got some good feedback from our last show about a quote that Erin likes to use. So we're going to go over some quotes from a philosopher that we like.
Yes.
That we like his name is Jiddu Krishnamurti. So people are probably familiar with him. We'll give a quick synopsis of who he is. He was born on the 11th of May, 1895. He transitioned on the 17th of February, 1986. He was a philosopher. He's an Eastern philosopher, speaker, writer, and author. Two of his most probably popular and most known books is Freedom from the Known and The First and Last Freedom. So these are where we're going to be getting most of our quotes from. Freedom from the Known and First and Last Freedom from Krishnamurti. So we're going to start with her favorite quote. So you go ahead with your favorite quote.
Now, I do want to say this real quick.
Yes.
Quotes are similar to symbols, which is why people often use quotes and people are able to easily recollect a quote, is because that quote is a nugget of profound wisdom that goes into your subconscious, and it usually blossoms a revelation. So quotes are extremely important. And my favorite quote by Krishnamurti is the highest form of intellect is the ability to observe without judgment. That is where you find the true arbitrage. Now, I would like to cite my source. The first time I heard that quote was actually by a YouTuber named Zoe Williams. He has a great relationship show. He does heavy metaphysics.
Yeah, he's a philosopher.
He's a philosopher in his own right. He's Deepak meets Tupac, and we love that, right? So if you guys go check out Zoe Williams, he's an author. He's got a lot of great books, and he's great with relationships. We've been following him since, I think, 2015.
Yeah.
So Zoe was the first time I heard the quote, the highest form of intellect is to observe without judgment. And that really resonated with me because it made me examine how often we overlook actual wisdom because we don't agree with the person, we don't like his hair, we don't like her face. She said this, that made me mad. And you're not able to get the true arbitrage from things because of your biases, your personal biases, your racial biases, your ignorant biases, just meaning you're just ignorant to the information that they're trying to give you and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because, it was always told to me, kind of like, as they would say, eat the meat and spit out the bones. Right?
I like that.
That is, that's when you're dealing with somebody who's bringing a message to you. If you do not like the messenger, but you still need to hear the message, right? So even if the messenger is saying something to you that you don't agree with or that doesn't, go along with your personal what would you say? Your personal.
It goes against your personal biases.
Yes, but just take the information you need, and then the other stuff that you don't need and you don't agree with, you just leave it where it is. It may come back up in life, and you're like, "Oh, I could have used that information." But yes, the messenger. Don't kill the messenger.
But
I seen the message, don't kill the messenger. And that's what we were talking about.
Don't kill the messenger. And that's a very old saying. We used to say that when we were kids. Don't kill the messenger, but mom said you're in trouble.
Yeah, don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you what was going on. If you don't like me, you don't like the way that I bring it to you. But just be very just listen to what is being said.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like the person who is saying it to you. Just listen, because the message could be viable. It could be some information that you could use.
Now, the other thing is that you may have somebody have a message, and all of the parts of the message may not be beneficial to you.
Okay.
But there might be just one part of that message that could change your life. But because you discarded the 9 other parts, as you like to say, eat the meat, spit out the bones, you won't eat any of it. You really miss the nutrition for your emotional health, your spiritual health, your relationship health, your financial health, your mental health. So understand, though, that there's arbitrage in everything. And that's really what we want to kind of get across. In the last show, I made it very clear to understand that some of the things that people, let me use my graceful words, some of the things that people poo on, right? I got my pearls on today, so we're not cussing. Some of the things that people poo on, everything has a utility. Especially when we talk about fiat is trash, and this is trash, and that's trash, and this rapper's. Everything has a utility, and you can find the utility in everything. So we really we call ourselves scientists, but we want you guys to be scientists too. We want you to be able to observe your field without judgment. I don't know how many of you remember chemistry and biology in school. Remember when you had the practical, you would sit at your desk with your partner and you would cut the frog open, cut the guinea pig open. We had a piglet that we cut open because it was so much like the human body or whatever. But, we're like, it's murder. You guys murdered these things. Observe your field without judgment. In order for us to understand the human body, we do have to dissect other things that look similar to us because it is murder. When we, or people who donate their bodies to science and so on and so forth. There's a whole ethical thing people don't like about it. But observe your field without judgment and see where you can pull the arbitrage to benefit yourself and your family.
Okay. I love it.
Take the emotion out of it.
I love it.
But be honest, too, and you have to be self-aware about your personal biases.
Yes, indeed.
Which people aren't very honest about.
I'm going to go on to a second quote. This is one of the quotes I love by Krishnamurti. It's a very simple quote, but we'll get into it. Yeah. It is no measure of health to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. So we'll run that back one more time. It is no measure of health to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And we're really talking about, the United States of America, which appears to be a profoundly sick society. So what?
No shade, right? We're observing this field without judgment, but that's the assessment.
So how would you take it from there?
So when you start traveling and you see the difference between first world and third world countries or emerging markets, understand that first world economies, the society does whatever they feel like doing. Okay. And after a while, that society becomes so, I want to use my words carefully so I don't get canceled. That society becomes so free with their choices and their decisions that the society begins to collapse. Because there's no obligation, there's no accountability, typically. Everybody is free to do whatever they want to do. And if everybody is free to do whatever they feel like doing, the things that need to get done will no longer get done. Exactly. It's one of the first signals of societal collapse. We are going to do a show about it. And you're going to see the societal collapse happen in first world countries first. Right? Rome is burning. So you have what happens is that the things that are required to keep the infrastructure of society become abnormal.
Yeah.
And the things that would have typically been abnormal now become key features in society. Why aren't you doing this like this? Why aren't you doing that like that?
Indeed.
I'm going to give you guys some personal examples. We have 4 children, which doesn't seem like a lot to us. I did want a couple more. I got aged out the market. I got aged out the market. But, you know, when we were pregnant with our 4th baby, we kept getting comments like, damn, y'all got a lot of kids. Y'all got mad kids. And I remember one day I was so frustrated, I had to turn and say to the person, like, these are children that I have in the institution of my marriage to my husband, right? I'm not out here just making kids for every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes through the door.
And then we had, you know, a family member who said something, you know, to the effect, when she told them that she was pregnant, why would you bring another child into a world like this? And you're like, well, I mean, you know, when I tell you I'm pregnant, I don't know if that's the
response I'm looking for.
But if you, I mean, from a strictly practical and scientific way, we have to bring children into this world so the world can continue to move on, right? You know, the fact that you don't want to bring children into the world, fine. We're going to bring children into the world. We're going to make, you know, functional adults so that they can go on in the world and make sure that the world moves forward, right? You know, but that's a very insensitive thing to say to somebody, I think, because you have a certain sect of people who are saying, you know, we don't want to have children, and that's fine. That's fine. That's your decision. But what we were saying is, no, we're bringing in more people so that the world can move on. Now,
one of the important things to understand is, as society begins to collapse, right? Because you have a significant portion of society who says that they want to focus on themselves. They don't want children. There's nothing wrong with that because everybody's free to do what they want to do. Now, and this is why they're called laws, the power laws have to come into play.
Yes.
Where the minority of the people are going to do the majority of the work.
Yes, indeed.
When you have a significant amount of population that no longer wants to procreate and create children, when they become non-productive citizens, and that's a lot sooner than it is later, okay? Yeah. So 50 is actually the number,
okay.
Right? You know, you talk about early bird, what is the early bird dinners and stuff like that, the golden years. 50 and older is no longer productive citizens of society. They're on their way out of the labor market, and they're going to become retirees. You don't want a 60-year-old firefighter to pull you out of a fire. You might want a 60-year-old surgeon because that shows skill. But his hands might be shaky because he's running into age or whatever. But the point that we're trying to make is productive citizens of society are young people. Your firefighters, your garbage men, your sewer cleaners, the people who keep up the sanitation in every single city in America. These are the things we take for granted. We don't think about. We don't understand. What other aspects? We talk about firefighting. That's healthcare. Healthcare, emergency services.
But there's things that are structural. We talk about people as dealing with, you know, as far as, you know, your utilities, right? So your lights go out. You want these people. You want them to come get it together. The utility workers.
Your Wi-Fi goes out. You're gonna have a young guy come to your door to fix it.
The military. I mean, you know, the military. So those are going to be the young people. Young people are going to be the people who are, you know, moving everything forward.
And the point of the quote that Simon brought up about the measure of health to be, what is it? It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. What happens is the things that people were doing that used to be normal is now looked upon with disdain. We see how people poo on marriage. They think it's stupid. We don't need we don't need a mate. I'm going to go my own way. I'm going to do this. Marriage is miserable. It's the old ball and chain, and so on and so forth. The institution of marriage is absolutely necessary for society, and you see that in third world countries.
Yes.
In third world countries, they don't have the choice and the freedom that first world countries have. These two people have to work together in order to form a family and to navigate society. Okay, in order for that society to thrive, you need the families. What else don't we need? I had somebody tell me that I was irresponsible for bringing up my children like, I don't know, she called them alpha males because they're heavy into sports. They're typical boys.
Yeah.
That drove her crazy. Your children need to be more gender fluid. You should let the baby play with a doll or whatever. And I'm like, look, lady, when you have children, which you said you will not, you do whatever you want in your household, right? And I'm observing without judgment. But just understand the disdain she had because the household that we run is just a tad bit more traditional. It's we run consciously, which is the non-traditional part of our household. We're not parenting by happenstance. We're parenting consciously. But just understanding that, you know, my pregnancy was looked upon with disdain. Our marriage is looked upon with disdain. You still with him 20 years later? I thought when you left Lackland, you'd have did something different. And you're just kind of like, no, I liked him and I kept him and he liked me and he kept me and we're really happy together. So all of the things that seem to be normal or looked upon with disdain and all of the things that are now what we wouldn't have considered normal are looked upon with glory and fame, and this is glamorous and this is, but they're not the things that are going to keep society progressing. It is going to move into utter chaos. It is going to absolutely collapse. And like every dynasty before it, it is going to burn.
Yes.
And that's the reality of it. This is not judgment. This is looking upon it and saying scientifically, this caused this particular effect. And these were the decisions that were involved when these things happened to, you know, affect the economy, to affect the infrastructure, to affect the population, to affect so on and so forth. So we are measuring things by a very sick society, and we have to stop doing that. We have to start looking at things practically.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, shit, that's a great rundown. Can't get any better than that. So we're going to go on to the next quote that I think is important, and it's about education. We love education. Everybody loves education. So here's a quote by Krishnamurti. There is no end to education. It is not that you read a book, you passed an examination, and finished with education. The whole of life, from the moment you were born to the moment you die, is a process of learning. Right? And so why is that important? That's important because, and I'll just talk about it real quick and I'll let her go in. That's important because a lot of people will, you know, get educated or in some field or study and think that that's it. I know what I need. I know what I need to know. And we're saying no, but education is a lifelong journey. You need to educate yourself. And also now when we're talking about things like Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, digital assets, things are changing so fast that you need to keep up-leveling your education. No matter what you learned 25 years ago, you still need to learn more now about what is going on and how it changes and how it can affect you and your family. And what do we say? We say somebody, you know, come out of college 25 years ago, marketing degree. So how has marketing changed in 25 years? Right now, you know, you have to be able to market it digitally. Back then, it was more of a marketing physically. So even though you have education in something, you still have to up-level your education to keep up with the people who have been educated in that field, who know how to do it in, you know, today's day. We talk about, and I'll give Gary Vee, shout out to Gary Vee. He says the world, everything that we use now didn't exist 25 years ago.
No.
Just didn't exist. You use Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what else? WhatsApp,
Uber,
Venmo,
Zelle, Cash App.
these things didn't exist 25 years ago.
5 years ago.
That's how fast the world is changing. That the things that we had to use 25 years ago weren't available then, right? So what we're saying is you'd have to learn how to kind of, navigate that and use these things in a practical way.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this. So for many of you, I know you heard it, whether you're a salesperson or not. I know you've heard the term ABC, always be closing. Here in the Simon family household, especially since dad is the primary STEM homeschool parent, it went off. Mm-mm. Yeah, go back here. And then I can edit it out. Since dad is the primary homeschool parent, we're always be learning, right? Technology has a way of, so back in the olden days, as my children would say, back in the olden days, books were the primary form of entertainment. Mm-hmm. Books, plays, and when I say plays, like a physical play that you would go to, operas, musicals, so on and so forth. Those were the primary forms of entertainment. With the onset of technology, there's so much choice in entertainment that it really has pulled people away from, I'm going to say, self-education.
Okay, yeah.
Right? It distracts you from self-education. Mm-hmm. You can spend 3 hours on Facebook scrolling, or Instagram, or whatever your TikToks are so addicting. Whatever your poison of choice is, but give somebody a book to read and they're ready to go to sleep by like page 4 of chapter 1, right? It's boring, it's dry. And they've really programmed the brain to almost be adverse to learning. Mm. And in doing that, they compounded it by closing off the algorithm so that anything that's external to you, you won't be introduced to.
Okay.
Right? Like I tell you, we watch welding videos, how it's made. Supercar Blondie shows you how the Rolls Royce is made. And you're like, well, what does that have to do with anything? It's little exercises to open up the algorithm of your mind.
Yes.
It's ways to kind of see where the opportunity is. You might watch Supercar Blondie and realize, hey, they use so much silver inside of the catalytic converter of the Rolls Royce that maybe I should buy more silver so that when they take it off the periodic table, they'll have to come to me to buy some of the volume.
Exactly.
Little arbitrages like that. You're like, well, wow, you kind of associated A with B. It's very important that we're always learning, especially in the age of technology. Economic policy, and we've talked about this before, it changes on or about every 20 to 25 years. I believe, and I'm forecasting, that now that money is going to be digital currency and money is moved digitally, valuations, when we say it's paper, it's really digital, especially with all the different magnitudes of 1, the magnitude of 10, the magnitude of 100, based on however wealthy this person is, that those economic policies, that time of change is going to shorten moving forward.
Yeah.
Instead of being every 20 years, it's going to change to every 10, every 5, maybe every 3, and then maybe yearly. Mm-hmm. Because technology has a way of making things obsolete right now. So it's important that we're always learning.
Always learning. And I love that one. That was it's one of my favorite. I love all these quotes, but you have to always be learning, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in this day and age when things are changing so quickly that you have to stay on top of everything that's going on. But I'm going to bring up another quote that she mentioned, and we're going to run it back. Let's run it back. So he says, it's Krishnamurti. Die to everything of yesterday so that your mind is always fresh, always young, innocent, full of vigor and passion.
I got it.
That's a heavy one right there.
I got it. So let's use the boomers as an example. The boomers lived in a time that I like to call automated. And the formula was go to high school, go to college, get a good job, retire, tell the next generation to do the same thing.
Right.
But what happened was when they had those children and those children became of productive citizen age, couldn't replicate that process because society was no longer built that way.
Right.
And when you notice, it's the boomers who have the hardest time with technology. It was new to them. Yeah. Right? How many people's moms can't send a text message? How many people's mom FaceTime the entire family instead of the one person that she's looking for because she doesn't understand how the buttons work? My mom, right? My mom has to call all of the siblings when she just wants to talk to me or just wants to talk to that person. And then we have to sit on this party line and she's not talking to the other people on the party line. But little things. Everybody has this type of experience. We live in an age of technology where we have 4 children. I remember Junior, the 11-year-old, was playing Minecraft at 2 on the iPad. He just got that iPad. It just came out.
Yes.
And he was able to figure it out, play his game, build all these beautiful houses. We have the 5-year-old now. Our 5-year-old is autistic. He is a whiz with electronics. He knows how to get his YouTube. He knows what he doesn't want to watch. He skips the ads. He's like, Mom, YouTube red, because he doesn't want to see the ads. So these children are coming up in technology, but just understand that if we're not always be learning, we are going to fall in the same bucket that the boomers are, where it's Bitcoin today, but what is it going to be 20 years from now?
Right. That's the question.
Right? And not that Bitcoin's going to be different, but how will it evolve?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How would it evolve 5 years from now?
Yes.
Not just in value, but just the way the technology is built. What type of platforms are going to be built around Bitcoin? Mm-hmm. Ethereum already has a significant number of platforms that rely on it to work. We have to be able to understand these high technological things in order to continue to see the arbitrage, the opportunity, in order to be able to figure out how can I transfer the wealth from there to here.
Yes.
And it's important that I think we stay fresh. I like that saying, just stay fresh.
Yeah, man, that's heavy. That's heavy. That's heavy information right there. So we'll move on. We're trying to get through these quotes, if you will. This is a quote I like a lot, short one. Tradition becomes our security, and when the mind is secure, it is in decay.
Yep.
Wow. Let's run that back. So tradition. Tradition becomes our security as people, and when the mind is secure, it is in decay.
Why do people like tradition? Let's tell the truth about tradition. People love tradition because it requires absolutely no thought. Okay. You do what you saw was done, the way you saw it done, and then we call it tradition. This is how I make my curry chicken. We do not deviate from it. But, maybe you do. Maybe you add some Madras curry to the Indie curry. Maybe you mix your curries. Okay. Do something different. Tradition breeds complacency. And what happens when you're complacent? You die. When you're adverse to change, you die. Now, is Krishnamurti's quote, "The only constant is change"? That's not his quote, is it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
It is? Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to jump the gun.
Yes,
I wasn't sure if that was one of his quotes.
Yes, it is. That is one of the quotes that he has. People will, this is from Freedom from the Known. So one of the things he says is, people are adverse to change, but they want things to stay the same way. And what he was saying is the only thing that stays the same is change. Change is the constant. There will be change. There will be change for the good, for the bad, but there will be change, and it can't stay the same all the time. So yes, he is the one who said that. And
what we want to do is we want to exercise our brains to be used to change and different things. There's nothing wrong with tradition. I think tradition, I guess, for a lot of people, it has a great foundation to routine and structure, right? So again, tradition does have its complacency, even though we're about to, what's the word that I want to use? I'm sorry. It's like a hypocrite. Like I'm about to say the opposite of what we just said, but still say what we said. Okay. I'm about to contradict myself is the word I'm looking. Tradition does have a utility. However, you don't want to fall so deeply within tradition because you don't feel like thinking, because you don't feel like figuring out something new, because you are scared to do something new. that you fall into complacency, dullness. Security is what he called because tradition makes people comfortable. I know that when I do this, this is what's going to happen. But then we complain about this thing that happened and we continue to do it. And that's insanity.
Well, yeah.
And people do it every day.
Yeah, doing something over and over again and not expecting to change is insanity, right?
It's insanity.
It's insanity. So.
And it drives people insane. So what we're saying is question tradition, right? Ask the question. Be a scientist. One of the key components of a scientist is they ask a lot of questions. I want to break this thing apart, re-engineer it. Can I replicate the process? Can I replicate the process again? Can I do it a third time? Can I improve on the process? And we talked about process improvement in a previous show. But we want to question to tradition to see, is it practical? Is it still beneficial to us?
Right.
Can I not mix my curries, Mom? Like, I don't know what you have against mixing the curries, but I'm mixing my curries and it's delicious, right? But just kind of understand that you do want to question some of tradition. You may want to add something new to it because that does open up a new neural pathway in your mind. I laugh because you and the boys argue all the time about the Jordan era, the Lebron era, and when Tino is arguing about basketball age, he's going to have his own era. He's going to argue with you and Sean about.
Yeah.
And how they did things differently. I remember one of the things they said, he likes bringing up sports. I'm going to bring up some sports now.
Okay, all right.
One of the things I heard is that the difference between the Jordan era and the LeBron era is that Jordan saw all of his peers as his competition. We don't hang out at the club. We're not hanging out at the strip club. We're not going to barbecues with each other. We are locked in a war. And then they said LeBron is just basically LeBron and his little brothers, right? He's just beating his little brothers at basketball. When the game's over, y'all come to the crib, I'm going to grill for y'all.
Yeah.
I personally love that, but I don't play sports to the level that he would have played sports because I watched him play sports. He played sports at a high level, especially in the military. Everybody was his enemy on the court, and he might not talk to you at the dorms when the game was over. If you did something stupid, it cost them the game. So, just those little differences in how they sit and analyze. We had a little glitch. Sorry, guys. How they sit and analyze the tradition of how the game is played. You can see differences in things like basketball, or I should just sports in general.
Yeah, sports in general.
The evolution of it. How are these things changing? And it's changing because people question tradition. I do want to mention one thing that you taught me.
Okay.
You told me that Jordan saved the NBA, and he saved it because he questioned the tradition of how they did things.
Yes, indeed.
And that was important because it took the NBA financially and popularity-wise in a whole new direction to the point where LeBron can be the first billionaire. First
active billionaire athlete.
Had Jordan not saved the NBA by questioning tradition, we're going to do this like this, we're going to do this different. I don't like how we used to do that. That's boring, whatever. Just him questioning that took it in a way that allowed his, not predecessors, but the people coming after him, because I don't have a word for that, the people coming after him to transfer that wealth to a magnitude of at least one. Because he's a billionaire, and Jordan's a multi-millionaire. He's a billionaire now, but not when he played basketball.
Yeah, because they're making the distinction that LeBron is a billionaire as an athlete.
I want to make that distinction.
Player, right? Yes. Billion. What is a billion? It's 1 times 10 to the 9th power. Yes. So we're gonna always we got to put some respect on these numbers.
Yes.
1 times 10 to the 9th power. That is a number that has 9 zeros behind it. He is a billionaire. Michael Jordan's a billionaire. He was not a billionaire as an athlete. But that's why I brought that example up. Yeah, he was not. So we're going to roll into this other quote that I think would be good right now because this is probably from, I think this is probably from Freedom from the Known. So this quote is from Freedom from the Known. So when they say one is never afraid of the unknown. One is afraid of the known coming to an end.
Yes, that's the truth.
So let's say that again. So if you are a person, when he says one, A person is never afraid of the unknown. A person is afraid of the known, everything that they know coming to an end.
Yes.
And that's important because people out here, we get out here, we work these jobs and stuff like that. We're trying to retire. We're trying to get to where we're going. But you know what? If you've been doing something for 30 years, 35 years, you are more afraid of what you're used to coming to an end more than you are afraid of what may happen after that.
That new thing.
So you tell me.
It sounded crazy when we told our family we are backing our children up and we're moving to Mexico. And when we talk to friends about doing something similar, and again, we're never caping for Mexico. We're in Mexico for convenience, and our house is in Florida. We have obligations to it, right? So this is more of a convenience thing. It could have been any country that we picked that we thought had good arbitrage, right?
Any country,
so we're never partial to the country. But when we talk to friends about just kind of doing something similar and not even uprooting your family like we did and moving there permanently, like spend some time and see what works for you. One of the main things I run into is that the women especially are afraid to leave their friends and family.
Okay.
And I could understand that in the 90s, right? There's no mail system. I have to go all the way to FedEx and stuff to keep in touch.
Okay.
But in 2022, you're just kind of like, well, you can FaceTime your friends. You can FaceTime your family. I'm not telling you to stay there forever. If you just went there for a month or 2 months, can you not live without them for the month, 2 months? If it means that this is going to benefit you, for a lot of people, just spiritually and emotionally, right? You're coming out of the angst of the U.S. airspace. You're coming out of that stressful job. You're coming out of that neighborhood where the neighbors are fighting over your grass is too high and I don't like the pink flowers you put in your yard. I'm telling the HOA on you. The excuses or the reasons that people come up with to not do that new thing always has something to do with, I'm afraid to leave this thing that I know, even when it's not beneficial to me.
And what she's saying is big because his book, Freedom from the Known.
Yes.
That's the whole point of the book. It's like, do things that, everything is based on what you already know.
Right.
But what he's trying to say is that you have a tether to things that you know, and you're scared of the things that you don't know. Right. And it's Eastern philosophy. Right. That's how it works over there. That's how they break it down. Freedom from the Known, a great book. Check that book out. It is Freedom from the Known.
But let's talk about the algorithm behind that concept.
Okay, let's go.
So when you're afraid to let go of this in order to get that, which may be so much more beneficial to you.
Okay.
May be more convenient, may make you more efficient, may make you feel better. And when I say feel better, I mean health-wise. You have locked yourself off to new external information, right? I'm going to say we, as scientists, implore people, we say, hey, it's like talking to a child. We have a 5-year-old. He's pretty good with the diet, but every now and then he's weird about textures. I would rather him taste it and tell me, Mommy, I don't like this, than to say, no, I don't want it. You robbed yourself of an experience that you may actually enjoy. It might be your new favorite fruit. I mean, I'm oversimplifying the concept, but we're just saying, you don't want to travel to a country? Travel to a different state. Get out of the 6-block radius that you run in, right? Do something just as a... And when I say travel out of the state, I mean go to a different region. New Yorkers have a natural inclination to go from New York to Florida. That is not beneficial to you. It's just hotter there. You're hanging out with a whole bunch of other New Yorkers. That's not the change that would be beneficial to you. Does that make sense? It's just a lateral move. Yeah. You're going from Cincinnati to Pittsburgh. Don't do that. I want you to go from Cincinnati to maybe Mississippi and have a new experience. Go to Louisiana, have a completely new experience. Go to Cali, because Cali is a whole different culture in itself.
Okay. Yeah.
And all we're saying is do something completely different in order to have a completely different experience and basically do something you've never done before to have something you've never had.
Exactly.
And it's a hard concept for a lot of people to take. They don't like to take the risk. I rarely tell people Mexico because they already are adverse to the language.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I don't want to learn a new language. I don't blame you, but it's actually good because it opens up the algorithm in your mind. We're going to take it the next step. When we went to El Salvador, and we've been there a few times now, it's a completely different Spanish, which means our minds have to open up and just kind of like think and put our phrases together in a way where the El Salvadorans can understand it and not be confused by the Mexican Spanish that we've now gotten used to. Yes. When we lived in Costa Rica, we had a completely different Spanish. We had to learn Mexican Spanish.
Yeah, you have to switch it up. You have to switch it up. It's just, like you go to New York to Florida, Atlanta. There's just a different dialect.
But they're good exercises for you to open up the algorithm of your mind and not be afraid to do different things. Now, granted, as Aquarians, we have a weird lack of fear. It's weird, right? Things that people are like, yeah, no, I wouldn't have done that. We just jump in and do it. And then when we think about it, we're like, oh, yeah, that was something, wasn't it? We were brave when we did that.
Yeah, that was it.
So it's a lot easier said than done, but there are little baby step things you can do in order to open the algorithm. The first step that anybody can take in opening up the algorithm of their mind, and I implore you, I want you to seek out some type of social media influencer that you don't necessarily agree with and just listen wholly, listen attentively to what they're saying and see if you can pick out one shredded nugget. And I'm asking you to watch something that you know you're going to be adverse to.
Right.
Yeah, y'all know who I'm going to say. I want y'all to watch him. Listen to what he's saying.
But what I'm saying is it's the kind of eat the meat, spit out the bones type of theory, because you can always learn something from somebody else who has a different viewpoint from you, right? So, and don't be afraid to watch people or listen to people read, or even read books. Read books to people who have a different viewpoint and how you think. Because the information, you'd be surprised sometimes at how many things that you actually agree on. Like, damn, we agree on this, but I don't really, mess with you like that. So,
and you'll be surprised at how misled you are about the things you do agree with. Because when somebody gives you the historical context to it, when somebody explains it in whole, you're like, oh, yeah, I kind of don't agree with that now. For instance, I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
I keep seeing on social media, people are saying, the U.S. government doesn't consider a baby, your unborn baby, a person, and that's why you can't claim them on your taxes.
Okay.
I would never cape for the U.S. government, but I am going to tell you the truth about that. That thrives in ignorance. You cannot claim your unborn baby on your taxes because that unborn baby doesn't have a social security number. It's not because the U.S. government doesn't consider it. Not to say that they do or they don't, but that's not why you cannot claim your unborn baby on your taxes. Okay, I want to get that out the air. They want to ride on the Roe v. Wade. They want to have some fake outrage, and it wants to be something along the lines of, we're going to rah-rah this thing. No, you're not. It just shows how many Americans have no idea how tax and reporting works. It really just exposes the ignorance of the average American who doesn't know how your taxes work. Your unborn baby needs a social security, so yes, it needs to be a live birth. But it doesn't mean that they're not a person, because there are a lot of U.S. citizens who take care of citizens from other countries. They don't have a social security number, and you can't claim them. You have older children who are between 17 and 26 that you have been claiming. You can no longer claim them because they're out of the range of claimability, even if you're still taking care of them and they're not in school. Right? And I'm not caping for the government, but I'm saying you're being misled by poor propaganda.
Yeah,
and that's how the algo works, because you got a whole bunch of women in there like, F the government, yeah, maybe, but not for this reason. Here's the truth about that, where you're like, oh, that does make sense.
Okay.
And you don't want to get the pep rally going for things that are inaccurate, misleading, not right, because now you have an energetic state and emotion about something that isn't even true. They done sucked you into some nonsense. And that is part of the algorithm where they want to modify that behavior. It's very important that we'll always be learning. We question tradition. We question some of the things that are set to you in the algorithm.
Yes, indeed.
So that you can form informed decisions. You can have clear historical context and understanding of this thing that you're going to do. And therein lies the arbitrage. Now I can start pulling in, this is how this can benefit me. Mm-hmm. This is how this can benefit our family. This won't work for us, but it's going to benefit our grandchildren if we get on it now. Yeah. We're not going to see the fruit of it.
You might not see the
fruit. But we're going to jump on this now because by the time Tino has a baby, that baby going to be set.
Okay. I'm with that. I'm definitely with that. Okay. So we're breaking it down. We're going to go over maybe a couple more. I don't know. I was looking at this one. I think that this is a good one, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a good one because people, we try to talk about people being uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, and being uncomfortable is a good thing, especially in your development. So in this quote, in seeking comfort, we generally find a quiet corner in life where there is minimal conflict. And then we are afraid to step out of that seclusion. So we have said this on multiple occasions. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
My favorite quote.
People are people like to find comfort and they want to be somewhere and be comfortable. You need to be uncomfortable because when you're uncomfortable, that is where there's a lot of growth.
But why is there growth when you're uncomfortable?
There's
a lot of growth when you're uncomfortable because you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Think about when we first started our family. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, y'all. Yeah, I don't know what we were 2 young airmen. We got this little baby. And I remember the first time I seen Simon hold the baby, because Simon was so big, right? He's got these big arms there, and the baby was little teeny tiny. He was only 5 pounds. And when the baby was so little, he was like, Aaron, he's so little, he kept fixing and adjusting.
I held him like a football.
Yes, and he would walk, but that was when you got comfortable.
Yeah, I held him like
that was when you got comfortable. You said, I'm going to hold you like I'm used to holding stuff. Yeah, but initially, he kept, adjusting and adjusting and adjusting because it was the first time that we made this little thing and now you got to take care of it. Yes. Just the discomfort in that. Mm-hmm. Right? Were we happy? We were overjoyed. But we were uncomfortable as hell.
We were uncomfortable.
And you have to figure it out. He's crying. Well, I just fed him and I burped him and his diaper's clean. What do you think can be wrong? Oh, maybe he just wants to be helped. As a mom and a dad, we had to figure out our parent language.
Right.
Because this baby don't talk. So little things that make you uncomfortable. If you are uncomfortable in debt, it requires you to figure that out and figure it out fast because debt is compounding. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it doesn't compound as fast as wealth does. Unfortunately, wealth doesn't compound as fast as debt does, right? If only. Now, wealth does compound, but boy, if it was the opposite, everybody would be straight. So being comfortable, being uncomfortable means, we got a little conflict here.
Okay.
We're going to figure it out.
Right.
And not being scared to approach it that way. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what I'm looking at, but we're going to take this apart. We're going to keep playing with it until we can re-engineer it or engineer it into something that's workable and resolvable.
Exactly. So, that's a very important one because comfort, what would you say? Comfort breeds complacency. So, when we're moving around here with wealth, trying to build wealth and things like that, we are not looking for comfort. Because if you find comfort, there is a level of complacency there, and that's not what we're looking for. No. We're looking to always be learning, right? Always be building. And we don't want to be comfortable. I know a lot of people, that is their goal. Like, hey, I want to have this amount of money so we can be comfortable. Mm-hmm. That's not what we're looking for. So
I do want to say, too, that is an aspect of freedom that we talked about in a previous show, is that, and I'm not going to use the word comfort, is that you get to a certain level in lifestyle where you're able to do the things you like to do in a free manner, but there's so much responsibility that's associated with it that you're just not comfortable.
Right.
You're not comfortable. You can't get comfortable, and you're always trying to figure out how can we either re-replicate this process, what type of process improvement is required in us to continue up-leveling, or maybe just maintain the level that we're at. But there's no comfort in it because you're not in automation. You're not, I call it, that automated mode where you don't have to think, it just works for you. And it's one of the reasons why get-rich-quick schemes are so attractive to people, even though looking at it on the surface, this looks like a scam. But it's so easy. And that's always how they bring people in.
Yes.
Right? You can just copy his trades. Okay, well, what if he's having a bad trade day? Well, then you lost the trade. But they always package it as easy. They package it as simple. They package it as you don't have to do anything. It sells itself.
Yes.
No, nothing that is beneficial to you is easy. And unfortunately, that's some type of universal law I don't have the quote for, but nothing that's beneficial to you is easy.
No, shit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you want to go in on more? Or
let's see what kind of time we got time for one more.
We got time for one more. She wants to go one more.
One more. Una más.
Okay. All right. So let's see what other quote that we can get out of here, and then we can expound on. Oh, man.
But I'm so glad you did, because that's my favorite. You always say it, and that's my favorite when you say it. I always think about the story that go with that. It's so funny.
All right. Well, I mean, since we travel, we'll go with this one.
Okay.
All right. So when one travels, so when you say one, a person, when one travels, a person travels around the world, the person notices to what an extraordinary degree human nature is the same. And that's big because people stay in their, wherever, the 6-block radius.
No, but that's a statistic. So when we say we're not being facetious or anything like that they always say that most people stay within a 6-block radius. Not to say you don't go to the mall and do this and do that, but most of the things, your supermarket, your not UDF, but your gas station, your 7-Eleven, your convenience things happen within a 6-block radius.
Yes. Okay. So, but what they're saying is they're trying to say that if you travel in the world and you see different people, different cultures, different ideas, ideologies, it gives you a different perspective on how things work, right? Because we've talked about this before with the numbers, because you'll go to another country and whatever you make, you might think it's not what it is in America, but you go somewhere else and it's a lot. And you're like, oh man, it gives you perspective. You need to travel. And then we always promote traveling. Wherever you're going to go, travel. And we're not saying Mexico, we're in Mexico. I can tell you 40, 50 places to go. Just travel. Travel. Get that perspective of what is going on.
But I do want to kind of just up the ante on that. Travel. When I say travel to a different region, don't travel laterally, okay? So like I mentioned that earlier, my New Yorkers, don't go to Florida. Go somewhere different where the culture is different, the vernacular is different, the food is different. Go somewhere else because like we talked about before, people have a natural inclination to do what's comfortable. It is comfortable for New York to just go to a warmer New York, which is Florida. And then you know what they do? And I'm a New Yorker, so I'm telling you straight up what they do. They're going to go to Sal's Pizza Restaurant, which is the same restaurant that's in New York. They're going to go to the Chinese spot, which is the same Chinese spot in New York. They're in a different geographical location, so they feel like they've done something different. They have the illusion of difference.
Yes.
In Cincinnati, people used to go to Pittsburgh. Why? Why? You went from the Bengals to the Steelers, and I know they hate each other, but the neighborhood's the same, right? And the food is the same. And a lot of people who lived in Pittsburgh moved to Cincinnati. So you have that same kind of New York lateral kind of move. Right. It makes people feel comfortable. I feel like I've done something different. And then I pat myself on the back.
Yes.
My traveling crypto warriors. I want to tell y'all the greatest thing my husband ever gave me outside of a beautiful marriage and beautiful children was the opportunity to see the world differently by traveling to countries that do not speak the same language we speak. Mm-hmm. And like we said, we're scientists, so he understands how my mind works. But it allowed the algorithm of my mind to open up and see things not just differently, but to observe the field without judgment. That's one of the reasons why you'll never hear me say Mexicans are this and Costa Ricans are Ticos. Ticos are that and El Salvadorans are this. We always say the poverty mindset behaves this way because we understand it's not a race thing. It's not a race thing. How they want to show you on TV, Mexicans are dangerous. No, poverty is dangerous. It's poverty that comes to seek, kill, and destroy and take from you. It's that poverty mindset. It is not necessarily the type of people. People see black men are this and black men are that. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
And if we can change the mindset little by little, especially by cultivating. Notice I didn't say raising. You raise cattle, you don't raise children. You cultivate children, you nurture them. Women, we are the nation builders. We are the ones that cultivate the children and raise them like beautiful trees and blossom them into big, beautiful, fruitful trees. When you open the algorithm of your mind up, then and only then can you see the arbitrage of life. Whether that opportunity is financial for you, whether the opportunity is spiritual breakthrough, whether it's an emotional breakthrough. We had a major breakthrough for our marriage when we came here because we were kind of isolated and we were forced to do the conflict resolution we needed to make our marriage thrive. It's the best thing we ever did. But it took us to open up the algorithm of our mind to even see it. He saw it. He had the vision. And then it was a situation where it's like, okay, I had to kind of go through the physical aspect of the vision in order to see it.
Okay.
Right? Like you had the blueprint in your head, but then you're like, no, we're going to go here and I'm going to show you what I had in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what she's saying. This is heavy. It's heavy. She's dropping heavy knowledge
It's
right
OG
here.
talk.
Yeah, no respect. Yeah, that's heavy knowledge. It's heavy. She's dropping jewels. She's dropping gems. And that's what we wanted to talk to you about today. Did we get across everything that we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, because really the show is all about arbitrage and how to begin to discover it. Because we talk about it in every show, but then I think you and I started to realize like people were getting stuck on the how can I discover arbitrage? And it wasn't that they were stuck as much as let's look at the reasons why you're locked in and let's unlock that.
Okay.
All right, it's like a jailbroken phone. Let's jailbreak the phone. It's only iOS. You can't do anything outside it. Let's jailbreak the phone so we can do other stuff with it.
Okay.
Right? So we can optimize some of the stuff we need to do with it. And you want to jailbreak your mind, literally, so that you can discover these things for yourself.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Mindset. That's what we want. I mean, like we said, we're not going to bring you a whole bunch of charts and technicals and stuff. Like, we're kind of more of a mindset.
Yep. And we're forcing you to look these things up yourself is why we don't show them. We don't put them in the link. It'll be very convenient for you. Wisdom. The Bible says, and whether you guys like the Bible or not, it has its utility. It is a book of wisdom. It says, seek wisdom and pursue it. To pursue something is to chase it down. Men pursue women. They chase the women like, hey, I like you. I'm going to make you my wife. You're going to have my kids. We're going to be a happy family. If the police are pursuing a suspect, they are chased. Well, in the U.S., they do something different. But in most places, they are chasing that suspect. You want to chase down wisdom. You have to seek it. That means seeking, you have to look all over. You got to lift up here, look there, look on this site, look on that site, go to the library, get the actual physical book because it doesn't come in digital yet. And it's hard to read the ones that, you know how they do.
That's the ones I have.
When you get the free ones that's on somebody's Google Drive, I can't hardly read that when they photocopied it or they scanned it, I should say. But you have to seek wisdom and pursue it. and understand that. Now I'm gonna take y'all down a metaphysical road.
Well, I will just a disclaimer.
Okay.
Seek information.
It is. You got to get the knowledge in order to turn it to wisdom.
Yeah. Seek information, and then you can do what you want with it.
So he's right. So
seek information.
You get the information, and you understand it, and it turns into knowledge. When you are able to have an application for the knowledge, when you're able to take this information that you understand, overstand. For my 5% nation, peace to the gods.
Peace to the gods.
Right?
Yeah, I'm always out.
Once you are able to apply it to your life, then it becomes wisdom.
Okay.
Then and only then it becomes wisdom. Wisdom is the application of knowledge. People think because they say these nifty things like how we read Krishnamurti's quotes, yeah, those sound cool, but if you're not applying them to your life, it's not wisdom, they're just quotes. And that's important too. If somebody told you, Bitcoin is this and Bitcoin is that, and you don't buy the Bitcoin, it's just information. It's once you purchase the Bitcoin, it begins to run. That is when you have turned wisdom into its physical component, which is wealth. When you talk to wealthy people, they are very well read. They read hella books. When you talk to them, they tell you, I learned this and then I did that. Those are the two sentences, the two phrases you want to hear. I learned this and then I did that. And this is something that you absolutely want to practice. So I'm going to say step 1, start practicing observing the field. I added that to Krishnamurti. I added that, Zoe, so don't be mad, right, if you see this video, right? I also heard the society one. I heard that from Zoe too. I know that's one of your favorites, but I think I heard it from Zoe.
Okay.
A long time ago when we used to listen to lectures and stuff together. I thought Zoe said that. I was like, wow. I didn't know Krishnamurti said that.
Yeah.
Because he just kind of said it when he was doing the lecture, and I remember that profoundly. But, I went and I did the research, and then I executed. Wisdom does not work without execution, period. Right? You can know all the plays on the football field. If you're not executing any of the plays, you're not going to win the game.
Or not.
That's the game of life.
Right.
You can read all the books you want to, and I have a friend. She's very well read. She doesn't execute at all. So she's in the same place that she doesn't want to be. I love her with all of my heart, but I think she's like we said, she's scared of the known to end, even though she doesn't like the known. But it's the devil that she knows.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you read the book, Freedom from the Known, it is about people are afraid and have, these things about the things that they know, and they're more scared of the unknown. Like, I'd rather have, would you say the devil that you know?
I'd rather have the devil I don't know than the devil that I do know.
Right.
But most people...
No, how you say that again?
Most people want the devil that they know. Instead of the devil they don't know.
Exactly. And that's freedom from the known.
That goes for jobs.
Yep.
Like, I know how effed up y'all are and how y'all operate, but I'm going to stay instead of taking a chance to go to a new organization that may be better. And it's also what you always tell me is a bad faith argument.
Yes, it is.
What if it's the best thing that ever happened to you? We don't even consider that. You just already like, nope. And again, that's the algorithm locking down in your mind. It's locking you out of new external information because it's a new experience. You're going to get something new from it.
Oh, definitely.
Right? And we've lived in multiple places. Not all of them have been as, to me, as a blessing as Mexico has been. And again, I'm not partial to Mexico. It's just that this particular experiment worked. It worked great.
Yes,
I like the way it worked, right? And they're not different from the other countries we lived in. I just think some of the moves we made were different. So it's been a much better experience for us and the children. Yes. Not that the other experiences were horrible. I just like this one better.
Exactly.
So it's just a situation where can we start observing the field in a more neutral way so that we can make the assessments and get the information out of it?
Yes, I agree.
But it requires you to do brand new things.
Yes. Indeed.
And not have any idea what the outcome is going to be.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean,
I don't know what's going to happen, but let's try it. You got something spiffy you coming up with, baby?
No, I'm just saying we may have to talk about
Yeah,
this.
let's talk about it. We
may need to talk about it. We didn't kept you long. We may, when she says experience the field, we might have to come back and talk about it from a scientific level.
Because we can't do it in 6
with
minutes.
The quantum field theory.
Yeah.
We need to talk about quantum field theory. Let us know if we need to talk about quantum field theory.
Let's do it.
We're gonna do it, but just let us know if you guys are interested in that. But I think this was a good conversation. I think so. It was a good conversation.
But your homework, everybody. Right? Your homework.
I'm too old for homework. I'm an old man.
And when I say seek out a YouTuber you don't agree with, seek out one that is at least well spoken and seems like they know the information at this point, right? Because there are YouTubers you don't agree with that y'all are just talking at this point. Yeah. But you want to, I know and I'm going to give y'all some to kind of look into. Okay. I know a lot of you guys do not like Kevin Samuels. Okay. I'm asking you to watch the whole thing. It's about 1 to 2 hours. They're long shows. But I want you to watch the show from the start to finish. Put the personal biases away. Put the things that offend you away. And just listen. And see if you can pull out one thing that he says where you're like, damn, he might be right about that. Or, wow, you know what? That is something that's actually profound.
Yeah, and I will chime in because, I'm not in the Nation of Islam. But I am a big supporter of
I agree with everything he said.
Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan. Man, this is a great interview. Check out an interview with Minister Farrakhan and Alex Jones.
Yes, good interview,
it's
y'all.
Crazy. Like you was like
and there are probably two people. Well, I think our audience probably does like the Honorable Minister Farrakhan.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
I don't know how y'all feel about Alex Jones, but watch the interview, right? And they are two kind of opposing. But just watch how they're able to come together,
and have a conversation. Mm-hmm. And just have a conversation,
and just listen to the points. Mm-hmm. Another YouTuber that I know a lot of people have an issue with.
Who's that?
Tariq Nasheed. I love him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Y'all, I'm a non-FBA. I ride for Tariq Nasheed. That stuff he be saying is true, and I don't have the personal bias. Right? Because he's going to come. Y'all think I come with historical context? I cannot light a candle to Tariq Nasheed's comprehensive knowledge of the historical context of almost everything Black. Right? So I know there's a lot of people. He's controversial. They feel like he's divisive. I want you to pick out one Tariq Nasheed, whether it's a live, because they're lives, but he's not live.
Yeah.
And really listen to what he has to say. His platform is typically on white supremacy, but lately it's also been establishing foundational Black Americans. Mm-hmm. And especially for my West Indian audience, before you form a personal bias and get offended, listen to what he's saying in his own country, in historical context, because that's what we don't have. Is the historical context on a lot of the things that have happened. A lot of us don't have the historical context on the countries that our families come from. I do. I have a book my father gave me. It looks like a Bible. You can kind of see it right there.
Yeah, right.
And it was written, it starts in the 1600s and it ends in the 1900s. So it's falling apart, so we got to be very delicate with it. But for my Guyanese brethren, this is British Guyana, spelt the way they spelt it back when it was actually colonized by the British. And it's just important to listen to what Tariq Nasheed is saying about foundational Black Americans and how they're co-opted often by not just white supremacy, by other Black people. We do not come together in unity. But because it's so sensationalized, right, some of the things he says, people are posting clips of what he's saying. No one's listening to the historical context of where he's coming from to explain that. Foundational Black Americans have built the infrastructure and the arbitrage for people like my family to come and gain from the opportunity.
Yes, indeed.
right? And we have a lack of respect for that.
Yes, indeed.
So I can't think of any. I can think of 1,000 YouTubers who know what they're talking about, who are controversial, who do rub people wrong.
Yeah.
But I watched Candace Owens the other day. I don't like half the stuff she says, but you know what? She had 2 valid points. And that is a situation where you had 2 valid points, your other 25 points, you're on your coon, you just are. I got you, you got your point of view. We're observing without judgment. But again, everything has a utility.
Yeah, have a utility. Like she said, we're gonna get into this. We got a couple more shows we're gonna do. We mentioned Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Absolutely, he's controversial too. Y'all should watch him though.
But we're gonna get into some of his things. Some of the archetypes. We had talked about a show, neuroeconomics, a few shows back. So we're gonna get back into the archetypes and decision making and stuff like that. Yeah. We're going to talk about that for sure.
We're going to open up the Algo, y'all.
Yeah, we're going to open up the Algo. We're going to talk about some people. So, I think this was a good show. It's a good conversation. I think so.
These are the conversations hubby and I have, when we're driving, when we're upstairs talking and stuff like that. And we're actually, at first I thought I was going to feel away about y'all being part of, my little powwow time with my sweetheart. That's where I get my learning. And we spend 3 to 5 hours every day learning. So he'll pull up the information. He's like, all right, you ready, E? I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. We're ready to learn. So he not only homeschools the children, but in a sense, he homeschools his wife. He is the actual scientist, mathematician, physicist, chemist, paramedic / everything else. And as a woman, I can admit that my husband has taught me a significant amount of not just knowledge, but the profound knowledge that I was able to turn into wisdom.
Okay.
And again, that's something that we don't really hear. Like, we're going against the grain. It's something we don't hear. We don't honor our Black men who are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I told you, the greatest thing I think he's ever done, that's fine. The greatest thing he's like, our moon went down, y'all. The greatest thing the greatest gift I think he's given me besides our marriage and our children is that, Aaron, we just try this and tell me what you think. And we started, this was before Mexico. We started in Costa Rica, right? And it was I call it a failure to launch. We just really didn't know what we were doing, but we were able to assess it and kind of get going from there. But just the adventure. And I'm grateful to
that was
for
a great
that.
adventure.
It's one of the greatest gifts.
Great time.
Not that my wedding ring and all the stuff you ever given me was beautiful, but that gift has optimized me as a woman.
Okay, man, that's heavy.
So
that's heavy.
But these are the things that we need to talk about, and not just the sensationalized stuff. We see a lot of the antagonism and the this and the that and the third. We got to open up the algorithm so that we can see and receive Black love, Black intelligence. Being nerds is a good thing, right? We want to change that because that was one of the things where we talked about the normal and the abnormal. And now the abnormal is normal and normal is abnormal. Let's normalize being scientists. Black people have always created infrastructure, designed technology, figured this out, and created the society that we live in. We need to get back to that. They've always been the most educated.
Yeah,
we need to get back to that, and we need to normalize that and normalize a lot less of the love and hip hop stuff and all of the other mishmashy things that I'm observing without judgment. But we just need less of that mirrored to us and more functional, productive conversation mirrored to us.
Okay. Well, I can like Zoe. Shout out to Zoe.
Shout out to Zoe.
I can smoke a bag of that.
I can smoke it. That's another quote we love.
As he would say, I can smoke a bag of that. So yeah, I'm down with that. I think this is a good conversation. You guys let us know if you want to hear more. Whatever it is, and then we'll get into it.
And check out Dr. Jordan Peterson. He gonna rub some of y'all wrong. Watch his lives, watch his lectures, and listen to the profound wisdom he does have. Right? Just put the biases away and just listen wholly and attentively, and take in the complete and not the part.
Yeah,
I think that was a quote.
Yeah, so check out Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Yes.
Check out our good brother, Zoe Williams.
Tariq Nasheed.
Check out our good brother, Tariq Nasheed.
Kevin Samuels. Yes, y'all. I want the women to just watch it and just listen. And if you can't take one thing from a 1 hour, 1.5 hour live, I just want you to check yourself and see what is preventing me from accepting just one thing that he said that could be productive. And it doesn't have to be productive in your life, but I just want yeah, you're right about that. And we're picking these sensational people that rub people wrong because, again, there's utility in everything. And that's what opens up the algo. Just being able to find the wisdom in everything, no matter how foolish it may look on the surface.
Definitely. I mean, she's right. Check on people that you may not see eye to eye with. And see what they're talking about, because these are intelligent people and they have something to say, and it may be something that you could learn from. So that's what I just thought we were saying. We're not saying you have to agree with them, be a champion of them.
And I'm not saying you're going to watch their show every night.
But listen, they got game, they're smart, they know what they're talking about. You might be able to catch something and be like, oh man, I didn't know that. So, always be able, just push the envelope.
But it's also conditioning you to listen to people first and then forming an opinion. Right? And that's what we want to do. It's too much chatter. It's too much talking. People have too many opinions about things they don't have the slightest idea about, and they have these passionate opinions about them. And we want to start coming away from that and getting to, I formed my opinion based on actual information that I've looked into. So that's how we want to open up the algorithm. And that goes for crypto, because we'll listen to a lot of YouTubers, and after a while, you just like, I sat and I listened to that YouTube. I watched it all the way to the end because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But they don't really know anything about crypto. Right? Like,
I don't want to bang on them on that level, because I'm a big Bitcoin investor.
But being honest too, right? Like I took the information and I understand that I can tell you're regurgitating points that you don't quite understand, and you might be giving out misleading information. The numbers and your technicals are fabricated, because we do understand technicals. We're just not, that's not what we're doing on this network.
And I'm kind of I'm not a big altcoiner, if you will.
Yeah.
Is that a good word?
Baby ain't crazy about the altcoiners. Yeah, we're being good today. We're not.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be big on altcoins. And I listen to people and they tell you about the utility of this coin, that coin. Okay, I'm more of a Bitcoiner. I'm go with the big dog, and then I'm not a big fan of the shit coins.
You're supposed to say altcoin.
Oh, altcoin. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of the altcoins. So no, I'm not. But I have some, but.
But the point is, we're going to observe the field without judgment, right? And you just want to make the most informed decisions, but we don't want to get on the pet rallies and the rah-rahs and, getting into the hype, and you're being misled.
Yeah.
You're being misinformed. And, that's the end of that. But are we going to do... This is the week of one?
Yeah, we got some week of one. No, we're going to do
one on Wednesday?
We got to do Bitcoin to zero. Let us know if that's something that you want to know. Bitcoin and the number zero by Robert Breedlove. We can break that down. What else did we have?
The quantum field theory.
The quantum field theory. So we can go into like some kind of physics conversation. You guys got to let us know what we want to know what you guys want to know.
But I think the quantum field theory is important because it requires execution and the explanation of execution. So.
Okay, so we got
from one part of the field to the other.
Okay, so we got it. We got it ready for you guys, man. Just let us know. It's good talking to you. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Okay, so we are going to see you guys Wednesday.
We'll see you Wednesday. Yes,
please share our content, you guys. Again, we'll never sell you anything. We'll never ask you for money, but we are going to ask you to share and like our content.
Yes, indeed.
Bye, y'all.
All right.